Title: The Quest for Pandora's Box. Chapter 1: The Start of the Race. In the mystical land of Valeria, where magic thrived in every nook and cranny, an unprecedented event was about to unfold. Three distinct groups converged on the sacred grounds of Erethen, each eager to claim a legendary prize, Pandora's Box. It was said that whoever opened the box would gain immense power and knowledge, a tempting lure for anyone brave enough to seek it. The first group, known as the Stitch Witches, was led by Morgana, a tall and enigmatic sorceress with eyes that glowed like embers. Alongside her were her loyal companions, Nyx, who could weave spells into fabrics, and Talia, whose potions could heal any wound. Their magic was rooted in threads and textiles, making them masters of enchantments and illusions. The second group comprised the Druids of the Greenwood Circle. Their leader, Eldrin, was a wise and ancient being, his long beard adorned with leaves and twigs. With him were Aliana, a fierce warrior who could command the elements, and Fenwick, a shapeshifter with the ability to transform into any forest creature. Their bond with nature granted them unparalleled control over the living world. Lastly, there was an unlikely group, the food-eating contestants from the annual gastronomic gauntlet. Leading them was Gus, the glutton Grumbles, a burly man with an insatiable appetite. His teammates included Sally Sweet-Tooth Sugars, a petite woman with an uncanny ability to devour desserts, and Max Munch Monroe, whose bottomless stomach was the stuff of legend. Despite their lack of magical abilities, their sheer determination and unorthodox methods made them formidable contenders. Chapter 2: The Challenge Begins. The race commenced under the light of a full moon. The air buzzed with anticipation as the contestants lined up at the edge of the enchanted forest, where the first clue awaited them. Each group had its own strengths and strategies. The Stitch Witches started by consulting Morgana's enchanted map, which glowed faintly with magical runes. "This way," Morgana whispered, and they swiftly moved through the forest, their steps silent as shadows. The Druids, on the other hand, used their connection to the forest to guide them. Eldrin closed his eyes and felt the pulse of the earth beneath his feet. "This path will lead us true," he said, and they followed the trail of whispering leaves and singing birds. Meanwhile, Gus and his team took a different approach. They relied on their keen sense of smell, developed from years of food competitions. "I can smell something sweet," Sally said, pointing to the north. "That must be where the clue is." And so they barreled through the forest, crashing through underbrush and startling wildlife. Chapter 3: Trials and Tribulations. The journey was fraught with peril. The Stitch Witches encountered a grove of sentient trees that tried to ensnare them. Nyx quickly wove a protective cloak that rendered them invisible to the hostile flora. They slipped through the grove, leaving the trees bewildered and grasping at thin air. The Druids faced a different challenge, a raging river that blocked their path. Aliana summoned the winds to part the waters, and they crossed on dry land, the river roaring angrily on either side of their magical bridge. For Gus and his team, the obstacle was a giant, ancient guardian who demanded a tribute in food. Max, ever resourceful, whipped up a meal from the wild fruits and herbs they had gathered. The guardian, pleased with the offering, allowed them to pass, but not without a warning: beware the curse of Pandora's Box. Chapter 4: The Final Leg. As they neared the location of Pandora's Box, the three groups found themselves converging on the same spot, a crumbling temple hidden deep within the forest. They eyed each other warily, knowing that only one group could claim the prize. Before they could enter the temple, a final challenge awaited. A riddle was inscribed on the temple door, its meaning shrouded in mystery. The Stitch Witches, Druids, and food-eating contestants each took turns attempting to solve it. Morgana stepped forward first, her eyes scanning the ancient runes. "The answer lies within," she murmured, weaving a spell to reveal the hidden meaning. But the riddle resisted her magic, leaving her frustrated. Eldrin tried next, using his knowledge of ancient languages and history. He recited verses and called upon the spirits of the forest for guidance, but the riddle remained unsolved. Finally, Gus approached, scratching his head. "Maybe it's simpler than we think," he said. "What if it's about something we all have in common?" He thought for a moment, then shouted, "Hunger." The temple doors creaked open, revealing the inner sanctum where Pandora's box lay. Chapter 5: The Revelation. The three groups entered the sanctum cautiously, their eyes fixed on the ornate box sitting on a pedestal. It was intricately carved, shimmering with an otherworldly light. As they drew closer, an ominous hum filled the air. Morgana, Eldrin, and Gus reached out simultaneously, their hands touching the box at the same time. A blinding light enveloped them, and the room filled with a chorus of voices, ancient and powerful. "Who dares disturb Pandora's box?" the voices boomed. The groups stood firm, united in their quest. "We seek the power and knowledge within," Morgana declared boldly. "You shall have it," the voices replied, "but be warned, with great power comes great responsibility." As the light faded, the box opened slowly, revealing a low battery warning flashing on a small, magical screen inside. The adventurers stared in disbelief. Chapter 6: The Aftermath. "Low battery?" Gus exclaimed, scratching his head. "What does that even mean?" Eldrin examined the screen closely. "It appears that Pandora's box requires a source of energy to function. Without it, we cannot access its contents." Morgana sighed, her shoulders slumping. All this effort for a box that doesn't even work properly. Despite their initial disappointment, the groups realized that their journey had brought them closer together. They had faced countless challenges, relying on each other's strengths to overcome obstacles. The quest for Pandora's box had united them in ways they never expected. Chapter 7: A New Beginning. In the end, they decided to leave the box in the temple, a reminder of their shared adventure. The Stitch Witches, druids, and food-eating contestants parted ways, each returning to their respective lives with newfound respect for one another. The Stitch Witches continued their magical practices, now with a deeper understanding of the power of unity. The druids returned to the forest, their bond with nature stronger than ever. And Gus and his team, inspired by their adventure, started a new culinary competition that combined magic, nature, and food in innovative ways. Though they never unlocked the secrets of Pandora's box, the journey itself had been the true reward. As they looked back on their adventure, they realized that sometimes the greatest treasures are not the ones you seek, but the ones you find along the way.